Welcome to Manawaker Studios Flash Fiction Podcast. I'm CB Derogi. This week, You Have Ruined This Car by Tim Fitz. In exchange for damages incurred to my Plymouth Barracuda after backing into it intoxicated, my buddy, John Mark, agreed to fix my leaking radiator. The car's value totaled at $600, and the radiator was going to cost me $2, so it seemed fair. We popped the hood, and he held the soldering wire and blasted away. However, the moment we filled the tank, water began to bead up at the spot in question. He welded more soldering wire to the spot until it clumped, but still water beaded upon filling. Eventually, he suggested we drop an egg into the tank. As explained, the goop gets sucked through the crack and hardens as the water heats up. I had no choice, and for 2 weeks the radiator held, until eventually the dashboard lit up. Every 2 weeks, as expected, the light flashed. Cool engine, fill tank, drop in egg. My mechanic was not as much apoplectic, but in awe. He tapped the radiator hoses. Instead of the hollowed-out empty reverberation, the tubes responded with a thud. Full, dense, zero resonation. "You need to leave this thing here," he said. "You have ruined this car." "How long can she go?" "How long? Not long." "A week?" He looked at me. "What'll happen?" "What do you think'll happen?" "Well," I said, but I had to know. So John Mark and I took the Barracuda up US 19 all the way to 121, where the road shoots straight to Williston on the way to Gainesville. We knew by fact that cops let anything go on this stretch. After 5 miles, the dashboard light flared, but still we got the old boat up to 90. We held the hammer down. The engine was not quiet, but she refused to hesitate upon our command. Sure, we had to roll the windows down to let out the smoke, and John Mark kept glancing through the AC vents for evidence of flame, but the Barracuda, she sang, and the road a straight shot. Trees on either side converged in the distance. John Mark noted, and it was true, that when looked to either side, all the trees in the forest had been planted individually, that for just 100th of a second you could see all the way down the aisle of trees, as far as it would go. This has been You Have Ruined This Car, written by Tim Fitz, and first appearing in Boulevard. Manawaker Studios Flash Fiction Podcast is supported by patrons on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/Manawaker to find out more. The Flash Fiction Podcast theme song is by Kevin MacLeod. Manawaker Studios Director of DICE is Ben Baston. The podcast is produced, edited, and narrated by me, CB Derogi. You can follow me on Twitter at CBDROEGE. Thanks for listening. On the next installment of Flash Fiction Podcast, I see it, glowing pale yellow around the edges of his body, rendered nearly invisible in the golden morning sun. Just a spell for luck that won't do much other than keep the wild beasts from noticing him. It's not enough to protect him from me.